It is time to roar around the ring coming off of WrestleMania in Las Vegas. That dude, Darrell Taylor, is here with me. I'm Justin Valentine, and we're jumping right into everything from WrestleMania weekend in Vegas. And we are starting with the main events. And I want to finish on a positive note. So we're going to start with John Cena and Cody Rhodes and everything that took place on Sunday night. John Cena breaking Ric Flair's world title record, his 17th world title, with the help of Travis Scott, gets the win over Cody Rhodes. Before we talk about what happened on the Raw after WrestleMania with Cena, your thoughts on how this main event played out with John Cena breaking the record?
I think I felt the way that a lot of people felt at the end of it. Was that it? This is what we got. Now, John Cena breaking the record, that part aside, for me is perfectly fine because everybody talks about Ric Flair, comparing him to Ric Flair's record. Ric Flair's record came from a number of different championships in different promotions.
Right.
Talking 17-time exclusively in WWE. So I love that. But just the way it all came together, we'll get more into that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The issue isn't Cena winning. I chose John Cena to win. I predicted that he would win, especially when he turned heel, knowing that he's going to be around for this final year. But you mentioned how it all went down. Travis Scott is back at WrestleMania. He gets involved. Cody Rhodes gets his receipt. And no Rock. The Rock, of course, this was the big moment at Elimination Chamber when John Cena turned heel. He's been mentioned, 2 or 3 times since Elimination Chamber. A lot of people thought, okay, he has to show up at WrestleMania. We haven't seen him since. He has to be at WrestleMania. It's in Vegas anyway. The Rock not showing up, Travis Scott being there, how much has that hurt this whole John Cena heel storyline?
I think it hurt it quite a bit. And I know that there's been some people online who are kind of trying to spin this and say, no, it's John Cena saying he's going to ruin wrestling. And he started with the main event of WrestleMania. I don't buy that. I really think, and I think you and I discussed this after the event was going off. I feel like an audible was called here. And we're going to bring back the word from last year, pivot, because I think they had to, because what happens is The Rock shows up. Hey, I have this great idea. Okay, let's have a meeting about it. Let's get all creative together. Let's do this. Boom, boom, boom. Gets the idea rolling. And then it's like, hey, guys, so by the way, I got to shoot this movie. Yeah, I know we just turned John Cena heel, apparently now for no reason. So let's – I'm not going to be around for WrestleMania, but hey, Travis Scott's free. Yeah,
right.
Wasn't digging that.
And that's it. Like The Rock completely – and I don't blame Triple H. I don't blame John Cena. I don't blame anyone or anything within this storyline because it feels like they're trying to salvage what The Rock left them. The Rock completely screwed over Triple H, WWE, and John Cena on his final goodbye tour, his final year, completely screwed over John Cena because there is absolutely no way they do what they did at Elimination Chamber if they thought The Rock wasn't going to show up once afterwards. There's no way. This was the story. It wasn't just John Cena ruining wrestling. It wasn't just John Cena wanting to take the title and go home. That's a pivot. You're 100% right. This wasn't the story. What made this so huge was not just John Cena going heel, but John Cena teaming up with The Rock. What is that going to look like? What are those promos going to look like? And we never got that. And there is no way Triple H pulled that trigger and gave that to us at Elimination Chamber with and thinking that The Rock was going to go away, especially after what we saw last year. The Rock put in the time to build that story with Cody Rhodes and Seth and Roman and was around leading up to WrestleMania 40. Even the night after, he was around the entirety of that story. And this year he completely screwed them over top to bottom. And they're trying to make the most of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. They are. And you use the word that I think is apropos for it. They tried to salvage it. And so people who are, shitting on Travis Scott for being there, well, he was probably already part of the situation, kind of hammered in because they're doing this clothing line thing and all that promotional stuff. Great. I get it. I got it. But it was probably supposed to be with The Rock, with John Cena as this celebrity trio of heels. And if that was the story, I love it. Great. There is no reason, there was no further explanation off of Elimination Chamber. Why did John Cena assumedly sell his soul to The Rock? Nothing, no follow-up. And so my take on it now, and I think the popular take on it now with a lot of fans, is keep The Rock the hell away from creative. If he's not going to follow through, just be like, look, dude, you got to commit to this in writing. We're talking contraction. I know he's on the head of the board, whatever, head of the table in TKO, but you got to commit to this, dude. If we're going to give you a 3-month journey story here that leads into the biggest event for the company, you can't half-ass this and be like, well, I don't know, just throw so-and-so out there and we'll call it a while. This main event, given what we saw last year with Cody winning the title, finishing his story, this was the most phoned in, lackluster. I'm sitting there. I have buddies who were there live, and they're telling me people were just waiting and waiting. Travis Scott's music hit. They thought Travis Scott's music hitting was the kickoff to everything that was going to happen.
Yep.
The Rock's going to show up. Someone else is going to come out. None of it. None of it. Travis Scott is the reason John Cena won 17.
And it makes no sense. Like, why do I care about Travis Scott? Right? Like, and I knew, because all of Cody's interviews, they were asking him about Travis Scott. All the media, they're like, oh, and Cody's like, he's going to get a receipt. I don't care if Travis Scott gets a receipt. Why do I care about Travis Scott? And again, I don't blame Triple H. I don't blame John Cena. I obviously, it's The Rock, and they're trying to make something out of what happened at Elimination Chamber because they don't have the biggest something in The Rock. And on top of that, with John Cena and like him not explaining why he's, joined The Rock, let's also remember the history that Cena and The Rock have in WWE. That was never able to get addressed. How they're not working together after everything they went through. They weren't ever able to tell all of the stories that we were looking forward to when this heel turn happened in Toronto at Elimination Chamber. And you said it, it led to a lackluster main event, because here's the problem. Cody and Roman put on a great match last year, and of course the tag match was great. This year, Cody is great in the ring, but he's not the guy to carry a match. And John Cena is definitely not the guy to carry a match. This match was not about in-ring ability, right? If you're talking in-ring technical ability, it was not going to be great. It was only going to be about the story they're telling. And that was supposed to be The Rock. And the fact that we missed out on that, the whole main event, the whole match was lost. There was no chance for this match to be satisfying for the fans, and has nothing to do. John Cena still could have won. That has nothing to do with it. It's the match itself and the lack of story being told. And now Cena's trying to do his best, being a heel that he hasn't been in 25 years, to tell a story because the curveball that was thrown his way.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people, well, at least I know you and I, were like, hey, okay, WrestleMania was what it was. I mean, as a whole, it was what it was, but that main event in particular. So I was like, okay, I'm a little pissed off about it. I don't like the way it ended, but we got the Raw after Mania. Let's see where this goes. Maybe we'll get what we should have gotten here. We'll get into that. Didn't quite. I think John Cena's promo, I liked that a little more, what we saw.
Yeah.
But I will say, just in regards to this, Cena versus Cody versus Cena. One, Cena is obviously physically limited in what he's going to do. That showed in the match, and that's why you need a lot of that, pomp and circumstance and shenanigans going on to kind of cover for that. Cody's fine in the ring; he's proven, but he can't carry that. Right. The story that was supposed to be told with that match required, the dance partner and The Rock. And sure, I'm not even mad at Travis Scott, because I'm not. It's just like, dude, okay, you got signed on to do something, whatever. But you're now the only guy in the equation that's like, okay, well, I guess I'll go out there and be the heel with Cena. But as far as WrestleMania is concerned, CM Punk main evented the actual main event.
We'll talk about that main event, but first, let's talk about Raw after WrestleMania for John Cena really quick, and then we'll get into the main event. The triple threat from Saturday. So the Raw after WrestleMania, no Cody Rhodes, no Rock. Cena cuts a promo, and he is RKO'd by Randy Orton. Not a surprise for me. I mean, Backlash is in St. Louis. So I had a feeling we were going that route, especially when I knew that, Cena would potentially win the WWE title. How do you feel about the direction we're going now, John Cena and Randy Orton in 2025?
I mean, let's do it. And like you said, it's in St. Louis. It kind of writes itself. I don't expect Orton to win,
Mm-hmm.
but we have so kind of the thing with Cena and Orton was they were the series. It was like a trilogy plus a trilogy plus a trilogy with their matches, you know. And so
Yes.
and everybody was just kind of like, I never see this match again. I'll be happy. Well, here we are, about a decade later since their last one. I'm ready to see it again. They're obviously both in two different places as far as their, personas, careers, and all that. And like I said, I don't expect Orton to win it, but I think he's a good first challenger. The history's there. They know each other like the back of their hands. They've been up and down the roads together. Let's do it. It's a great first title defense. And Orton is also one of those guys where if he's in the ring with someone who has kind of a limited repertoire or can only do so much, he's aside from Triple H when he was in ring, it's one of the safer, more perfect guys to put you in there with.
Yeah, I think this match is probably going to be better than what we saw from Cena versus Cody, just because of the familiarity. And Randy Orton obviously is still great in the ring. I'm wondering if they're going to build this the greatest wrestling match ever, like Randy Orton and Edge had at Backlash during the pandemic. No,
Why not?
I love this because even though I knew this is the direction they were probably going, especially when KO got hurt and Randy really didn't get much for WrestleMania. Shout out to Joe Hendry though, but I knew Cena's probably going to win. Orton's going to, Backlash is in St. Louis. They have their history. It's Cena's final year. Do it, right? Makes all the sense. But still, when Orton showed up and seeing them in the ring together again and the RKO, the emotions like, holy shit, like this is cool. Like that
It
was
was
the
cool.
feeling. Like it felt like 2025 and we see Randy Orton and John Cena in the ring together again. Orton posted the picture from the RKO saying, "Hello, old friend." Like it's just the chills now that it's actually happening. It's one thing to be like, "Oh yeah, Backlash is in St. Louis. Cena Orton makes sense, right?" But now that we're actually getting it feels like, yes, it's time. I don't have the feeling of, oh, we're seeing this again. Look, there's enough people from John Cena's run, Orton, CM Punk, even Cody Rhodes, even though he was younger, who's still going, who has a history with John Cena. We don't need to see a bunch of matches that we've never seen before with John Cena, especially with the fact that Cena's not known for his in-ring work. And he even mentioned on the Pat McAfee show that he's lost a step. So
Yeah.
a guy that was already not great in the ring has lost a step. I don't need him facing a bunch of young guys. Let's just tell the fun old stories that he has, the history that he has. And I have a lot more faith in this story, this heel John Cena story post WrestleMania. Let's not mention The Rock. Let's not mention what happened at Elimination Chamber. And now we can focus on the story being he's the champion and he wants to bring that title home. And now that that's the focus, I have less of an eye roll toward this John Cena heel storyline, and I have more faith in it because I believe it's a possibility. He says he wants to bring this title home at the end of the year. I wouldn't be completely shocked if they let him do that and they introduce
Well,
something new in 2026.
I was kind of thinking that we might get a new championship once Cena calls it a career. And you said something I think that's really important to kind of focus on because I think it would make good for this story. John Cena can verbalize it too in a promo if they go that direction. Um, I'm not here, Cena being I'm. Cena's not there to wrestle your dream match. He's not there to wrestle the young up and comer that you want to see go against John Cena. No, he's box office. He's big. He's the prize fighter. He's big fight Phil. He's gonna fight. He's gonna wrestle who he chooses to wrestle
Yep.
because he has. Now we want to get away from the Rock. Whatever. If the Rock decides to rear his head, then it can be to say, hey, Cena has the backing of the board. He chooses his fights. And if he doesn't want to face, I don't know, Sami Zayn, he doesn't have to. If he doesn't
Right.
want to face, X, Y, and Z, Jey Uso, whoever, Gunther, he doesn't have to. He can say, no, I'm only facing Orton, Punk, Roman, and maybe Seth Rollins. That's it.
Yep.
Okay. You're the boss. You're the champ.
Right.
So
And
yeah, go that direction.
those are four guys who, again, they're not all, it's not like watching old matches, they can barely go. Those are four guys that are still kind of in the prime of their careers, or at least full-time still doing
Yeah,
it. So, I mean, and it makes sense because even the four guys you mentioned, that could be the rest of the year, right? And I would be
yeah.
completely okay with it. I do not need to see all the young guys, all the young current stars going after Cena. I am more than okay if guys like Seth Rollins, even though he's kind of heel now, and we'll talk about that, but Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and CM Punk try to save that title. And of course, we probably have a rematch with Cody coming at some point this year as well. But it's all about saving that title. I love that storyline now. The storyline is no longer about The Rock. It's about saving the WWE title and saving the industry. And I love that.
They did. Yeah, no, I agree. And they did, again, the word pivot, because I loved what Cena did and how they set that up on Raw, where they put up the number and he said, and it ticked it down. This one's gone. This one's gone.
Yeah.
You got 20 some odd now. Not matches, appearances. This is all you get, and I'm out of here. So get with it. So with that direction, I'm like, okay, I like this. I like this heel John Cena. This is good.
Yep.
Like, just, and then the fans are chanting, oh, now, like, basically telling the fans, oh, you apologize to me, and they're chanting, and he's like, and because I'm not basically bending and accepting your apology, now you're saying F you and calling me an asshole. No, you know what? That's how you are. You're fake. You're fake. And I'm like, yep, call him out, John.
Call him out. I love the fans chanting, "We are sorry." It's beautiful. They're like, "We love you, John. Please don't hate us. We're gonna boo you." Let's get into the other main event. What you said was the actual main event. Paul Heyman screwing over Roman Reigns and CM Punk, joining Seth Rollins. Before we even talk about what happened on Raw, your reaction to this turn of events on Saturday night?
Well, first off, I thought it was great. And I know there was some people that was kind of buzzing about that. Maybe it's Seth Rollins. He's going to align with Seth Rollins. I thought there was a chance. I didn't really think that was going to be the way it went. But I liked it. And when it happened, I kind of laughed to myself, because I'm like, every old guy that used to work in the old ECW is like, this is what he does. He screws you over. He doesn't pay you your money. Just like that's Paul Heyman. But no, I liked it, and I think that it, and we'll get into Raw, but just given the direction this is going, I'm getting Dangerous Alliance vibes from back in the day. Paul Lee had his own crew. I hope that's what we're getting to here.
Yeah, I loved it. With Seth Rollins, he 100% deserves this. And I knew Seth would win. I chose Seth to win, but I wasn't sold that it would be Paul Heyman intentionally helping him. I thought the drama between Heyman, Roman, and Punk would lead to Seth getting the win. And then maybe that leads to a Roman Punk feud over Paul Heyman, basically custody of Paul Heyman match, in the summer or something along those lines. But I love this. Paul Heyman on a pole, something like that, in a shark cage, something. But I love this for Seth Rollins. You know what I mean? Like, he 1000% deserves this. And it's funny because Paul Heyman, first off, he showed up on the Pat McAfee show the day after WrestleMania thinking he was still at the roast. That dude was on fire, calling out everybody. Paul Heyman at his finest. If you didn't see that, please go watch that, because, oh my God, he probably got Pat's show kicked off ESPN a couple times. That being said, he mentioned Seth Rollins. He compared to Seth Rollins to Roman Reigns in 2020. And I disagree with that. And I mean that in a complimentary way towards Seth. Because Roman Reigns in 2020 at that time, he had main evented WrestleMania, right? He had been a champion, whatever. But he wasn't over with the crowd. Vince loved him, which is why he main evented WrestleMania with Undertaker, which is why he won the Royal Rumble, which is why he was a world champion. But the fans were not sold on him. And Paul Heyman pushed him over that hump. Seth Rollins is sold. Yeah. Seth Rollins has the main events. He has the world titles, and the crowd loves him. So he is ahead of where Roman Reigns was when Paul Heyman joined him. Now, I'm not going to go as far as to say he's going to end up a bigger star than Paul made Roman, but when it comes to where these two are when Paul Heyman joined them, Seth Rollins is ahead of the game, because Seth Rollins has the one thing that Roman didn't, and that is the crowd loves him. The crowd was not sold on Roman Reigns
Yeah.
until Paul Heyman was in his corner.
No, yeah, I agree. You're right. And you know, the other difference too is well, first I want to say how cool it was. So the drama, the ending of the match, um, I just the little nuances, the little details when just Seth just standing there with his back turned to everything. And then when he just like puts his hand out, like when Roman tries to ask for the mic and just for the chair, I was like, that's cool. And then Paul does a little,
Yep. The little flick of the hand
but
helped
that,
added to it.
I love those little details. It just makes it work. But the one thing that also stands out to me is because we're talking about you mentioned Vince and Roman and how he was, you know, Seth Rollins is a Triple H guy. Seth Rollins has always been a Triple H guy. He's not a Vince McMahon guy. But CM Punk is a neither of those guys. He's a Paul Heyman guy. Roman is a Vince guy. Seth Rollins has always been a Triple H guy. And I think that that's something to take away from it. That says something because that says that Triple H still sees Seth Rollins as you're my guy. I'm going to put the rocket to you because I brought you in here, helped you develop, put you in the authority as my champion. Now you're going to be, I'm strapping the rocket to you, putting you with Paul.
Yeah. I love it for Seth. I absolutely love this for Seth. I cannot wait to see where this leads, but it led to another member. You mentioned a stable, a crew around Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker laying out Roman Reigns and CM Punk. How do you feel about now a stable around Paul Heyman that now includes Bron Breakker?
I love it for Bron Breakker. I love it for him. I think this is going to do wonders for him. I hope it does. I hope it doesn't go the way of Cesaro back in the day. But no, I think Bron Breakker on his own, he is an exceptional talent. He is part of this what is now going to be considered the new generation of this era, the new generation of superstars under Triple H.
Yeah.
Bron Breakker is one of the guys leading the charge. I think that working closely with Paul Heyman is going to do him wonders. As far as a faction goes, could we see Becky? Could we see somebody else? Who knows?
Right. I mean, Becky turned heel, which we'll talk about the Raw after WrestleMania as well. And before that, Becky posted a video backstage at WrestleMania, completely loving what was happening with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. So whether that was just her supporting her husband or potentially something that could happen on TV, she loves that alliance a lot for Seth Rollins. So that could say something. Bron Breakker is 2002, 2003 Brock Lesnar right now. I love this. I will say Bron Breakker, and I'm not saying this in any negative way because I love this faction, but I will say that Bron Breakker being added here makes me like this less for Seth Rollins than I did Saturday night. Because to me, Bron Breakker's the focus. Because Seth Rollins is already the guy. Seth Rollins is already a star. And if Seth Rollins was the only Paul Heyman guy right now, obviously Seth would be the focus the same way Roman was when it was just Roman and everyone fell behind him. Where Bron Breakker, even if they treat him as Seth's muscle right now, it's going to lead to at some point within the next year, if he is Seth's muscle, they're going to want Bron to hold the title more than Seth. They're going to want Bron to take out Seth at some point and kind of give him his big moment. This is a huge deal for Bron Breakker, who dropped his title at WrestleMania. And what's the next level, right? He was the IC champion for a minute, world championship status. Now, there are 2 world titles. If they want to get crazy, you can have one go at John Cena, and you can have the other go at Jey Uso. And you can make this faction be insane with gold when it comes to both world titles. But unless they go that route, you're going to have to choose at some point who's getting the big moment right now from this alliance. Is it Seth? Is it Bron? The fans are probably going to want Bron Breakker before Seth Rollins.
We're gonna, yeah, you're right. And I think what we're gonna end up running into, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think we're gonna run into an evolution situation where the fans want Batista.
Yep.
Seth Rollins is in the Triple H role. Heyman obviously standing in for the Ric Flair part. But no, Bron is gonna be undeniable at that point. And obviously he's got the young legs, and he's gonna be this is great for him to be under the tutelage of Paul Heyman and a Seth Rollins. Yeah. To have that constant association, to just be like, yeah, this is it's not just the Steiner name that you get to learn from. It's the fact that here's guys that are still actively doing it in Seth Rollins and, Paul Heyman, who has a history with everybody in the business. But I think we are going to run into a situation where it's kind of like Batista back in, what was it, like 05, 04,
Yep.
05?
Yep.
And it's just like, it's no denying it anymore. Like he is the next step up. He is the guy that's going to be the next champion here.
Yeah. I mean, look, when I say I like this less for Seth, I say that Seth is already a star. Seth is not, no matter how this storyline goes, even in a world where somehow, some way it doesn't work out, he's still a star. He'll be fine. He'll be able to, pivot to something else and make it great because that's what Seth Rollins does. What I mean by that is Saturday, I thought, man, they're going to make him as big as Roman is within the next 3 years. And then after watching Monday, I said, no, they're not. No, this went from being a Roman Reigns tribal chief situation, and you said it perfectly, to a Triple H evolution situation where Triple H was already the guy. He's already been the world champion, and Seth may hold the world title at some point during this run. But when he is that champion, people are going to be looking over his shoulder, waiting for Bron to want that title himself or something along those lines. The second Bron Breakker joined this stable, this faction, the focus is strictly on him. And Bron Breakker feels like more of a Paul Heyman guy than Seth Rollins does. And it feels like in a role between those two, Paul Heyman would definitely choose, character speaking, Bron Breakker.
Well, I mean, what I also appreciate about this, not to stay too long on this topic, but we've had for a couple of years now, this is kind of full circle booking because remember the little backstage interactions with Paul Heyman and Bron Breakker?
Yep.
Just the kind of like when Bron Breakker walked by or he'd interrupt an interview, Paul Heyman's just gushing over the guy, like just all smiles, like look at you, like you're the future, you're this, and I'm like this makes sense for him to be part of that because Paul Heyman sees this guy is everything. If just like they say with Randy Orton, if you put input into an AI generator professional wrestler, you're going to get a Bron Breakker.
Yep.
That's it. He's everything you'd want, just like with a Brock Lesnar or Randy Orton. That's what you want.
And the possibility down the line when Paul Heyman is potentially just with Bron Breakker to do a Bron Breakker Brock Lesnar match to kind of officially pass the torch. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Just saying.
We can get Brock back. I mean, we already talked. We mentioned and talked about Vince McMahon at the Hall of Fame, so we're slowly opening that door.
Yeah, it's slowly going to open.
Fans were cheering. I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah.
Let's run the gauntlet of everything else that took place WrestleMania weekend, and let's start with Jey Uso winning the World Heavyweight title, defeating Gunther. How'd you feel about this match, how it finished, and are you still worried about Jey Uso staying relevant as champion?
Well, the match itself was a little. I thought it could have been a lot better. It just the pacing was a little off. I didn't really care for how the finish was fine. Well, I think the 3 splashes would have been enough. I don't know how I feel about the tap out. I think that was a bit much. Now, it got played into on Raw, and I think it served its purpose. And now with the direction they seem to have Gunther going is making me feel a little different about that. But as far as Jey staying relevant, I think it's too early to call. Right now, he's still going to be huge over with the fans. It just depends on what direction they put him in the program.
Yeah, I don't love the tap out. Again, Jey Uso had to win this. We didn't go through all this for him to lose, and we'll see. I mean, the dude is crazy over. It's the same thing we said about why they keep bringing back Goldberg and The Undertaker. Well, when their music hits, the live crowd loses their mind, so they're going to keep doing it. And with Jey Uso, the live crowd loses their mind. So we can complain all you want on the internet. The match wasn't great, and this and that and the other. The live crowd disagrees with you, and that's all that matters. So Jey Uso is going to be your champion. I don't love that he tapped out Gunther. Jey Uso isn't known as an in-ring guy. Triple H even said it in an interview leading up to WrestleMania, how he's not known for your in-ring, but he's crazy over. He's charismatic. That's his shtick. So to have someone like that tap out a Gunther, right? Who tapped out Kurt Angle? Chris Benoit? That was it, right? Like anyone that could like match up with him technically in the ring. So to have someone like Jey Uso tap out Gunther, I didn't love. I'm with you. I would have done the splashes, but I'm with it. I like, this turn, and I like to see where this goes. Jey Uso's over. Put the gold on him, and we'll see where this goes. I hope because I like Jay a lot. I genuinely hope it works out. How do you feel about Gunther attacking Pat McAfee, by the way?
I love that whole segment. I loved it from beginning to end. And then even my boy Joe Tessitore, okay? Well, I've just increasingly become a huge fan of this guy. I love his. At first, I was kind of like, he's fine. But now I love his commentary style. I love everything he does out there. Um, he played that whole situation well. Cole basically telling Adam Pearce, I'm not going to be bullied out of my job. Michael Cole standing up for the First Amendment speech, right? Yeah. So it's just, it was good stuff. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed Pat McAfee sold his ass off with that attack. Yeah. I was very impressed by that. His crew trying to get involved. It just all around A+.
Yeah, tons of credit to Pat McAfee. I know people go back and forth on whether or not they want him around, but his understanding of how to tell a story is so impressive in the industry. He gets it. This was great. I don't know how much I need a Gunther versus Pat McAfee match that could benefit Gunther, but at the same time, why? Either way, and I only mean benefit Gunther because of the platform Pat McAfee has. Other than that, I don't understand why we would go that route, but I absolutely, for all the reasons you just said, loved that segment. Also on the Raw after WrestleMania, well, Becky Lynch returned at WrestleMania, won the tag titles with Lyra, and then turned on Lyra after they dropped it right back to Liv and Raquel. Was this too much in one weekend?
It kind of feels a little unnecessary. I think you could have, like, if you're going to do the heel turn, why even win the titles or do that at WrestleMania? I don't know. I feel like it wasn't necessary because you're just dropping the titles back. It's just kind of shaky booking. But the one thing I do take from that is I think Lyra severely needed something to help her get over and connect with the fans, even though they were chanting one more time to her to get beat up from Becky. But people tend to eventually root for the underdog. I mean, look at Sami Zayn.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm okay with this because it all makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. Like Becky and Lyra have their relationship. I didn't like them taking the titles off of Liv and Raquel, but you weren't going to have them lose with Becky returning at WrestleMania. And this puts an established name like Becky Lynch into the IC title picture. I'm okay with this. I know it was a lot within 24 hours, but to me, it all made sense. It instantly, like you said, gives Lyra something legitimate for her title. So I don't have a complaint one bit. WrestleMania, Jacob Fatu, Dominik Mysterio, The New Day, all winning gold. Which one stood out to you?
Dirty Dom. Even though I'm really excited to see what they do with Jacob Fatu here. Just because I love the guy. I'm a fan. But it is wild to me how in the past 48 hours, Dominik Mysterio has become an overwhelming fan favorite. Where the music hits and these people in Vegas were going nuts. Yeah. I mean, he was getting his name chanted, and I think that's going to continue on arena after arena. And I'm just like, this is a complete 180. But hey, somebody needs to Photoshop a photo of him holding that title up and just Eddie's face smiling in the clouds. I need to see that online somewhere. So get to work, buddy. But yeah, no, I think Dom's is the one that's kind of like, just because I didn't expect it.
Jacob Fatu,
that's the one that stuck out.
Jacob Fatu 100% deserves this. The New Day needed something for their heel turn, but babyface Dominik Mysterio, I am all for it, and I didn't think I'd be saying that. Tiffany Stratton and Io Sky both retained their titles. Which performance was more impressive to you?
Io. And she needed to win that. Tiffany, after that match, looked like she was just happy to have survived it. And the match was Tiffany and Charlotte was the match was better than the build.
Yes.
Okay. And it helped night one. And that match in the main event did a lot of heavy lifting for WrestleMania. But no, Io's the one that I kind of celebrate that more because she really was not just in storyline, but I think in a lot of the fans' minds, kind of the afterthought going into that match. Io is the division right now. And I think that she should be celebrated. She's amazing, especially from what we saw on Raw yesterday.
I agree with everything you said. I knew, though, that match was going to be great, the triple threat. I love that Io won. I'm going to go Tiffany and Charlotte because, like you said, that match kind of over-delivered after the build we saw. And that, to me, was a star-solidifying performance from Tiffany Stratton, and also what it did for night one of WrestleMania, which was very lackluster until the final two matches, including that one. So I'm gonna lean Tiffany Stratton in this one. And then lastly, I want to shout out Rusev back on Raw, assaulting Alpha Academy, your reaction to this?
My immediate, well, I love to see him back. You know, Tony fumbled. But I, I wondered immediately. I wondered, is he the new Muscle with New Day?
Could be.
Maybe.
That was my
Why
question
not?
mark. That was my question mark. Why have him come out for the tag title? Right. And that's where I'm like, okay, maybe not many big plans, but unless they go Muscle for the New Day, they all have a history together because they worked together in WWE years ago. I'm not against that because there was a question mark for me. Why come out for the tag title match? Why target them? That could be a good adding heel heat for the New Day, giving them muscle like that because Big E was their muscle, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, April 21st was Rusev Day once again, and I'm happy for it. So here we
Shout,
are.
shout out to Rusev Day. Roar Around the Ring. Find us all over on YouTube at Roar Around the Ring, on social media at JV Around the Ring. We'll be back after Backlash in St. Louis. Randy Orton and John Cena. He's that dude, Darrell Daryl Teeler. I'm Justin Valentine. We'll talk to you guys very soon.